Oh, baby, baby, remember AC2 with Ezio so fine, leaping from rooftops, feeling divine. Assassins in Italy stealing the show, but now the series it's sinking so low. Hidden blade, sharp revenge in the air, but lately it's bloated, it just ain't fair. Whoa, whoa. Assassin's Creed, you broke my heart, you lost your speed. Back with black flags, sailing the sea. Pirate adventures, wild and free. Ooh. But now it's grindy, fetch quest galore, microtransactions knocking at the door. What happened to you, my stealthy delight? You're glatty and bloated, it just ain't right. Shaboom, shaboom. Black flag at shanties, cannons a blast, boarding them ships, having a blast. Edward Kenway with swagger so grand, but Valhalla's endless like quicksand. Origins was fresh with pyramids high, but Odyssey's map is bigger than the sky. Funny how heroes now chat all day long, dialogue wheels spinning where the plot go wrong. Wow, wow, wow. Assassin's Creed, you broke my heart, you lost your speed. Back with black flag, sailing the sea. Pirate adventures, wild and free. Who remember the brotherhood, tight as can be? Now it's RPG stats, level up a tree. Funny, I sync two viewpoints but fall through the floor. Ubisoft, baby, what you doing this for? Tell me why, tell me why, tell me why. Ezio's charm counters fight in the snow, but modern day plot, it's a no-show, no-go. Wah, wah, wah. Assassin's Creed, fading away to come back to me, like the good old days. Black flag and AC2, forever my boo. But the new ones, honey, they're making me blue. That's all she wrote. Assassin's Creed, float my boat no more, no more, no more. I'm vibing.
Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay, and characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ah, deep-a-doop-ah, scoop-a-boop-ah, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared
Logan
on in a
Levesque
trance.
donated $10 through Super Chat. About
Concord's
Raven.
dead.
You said Polygon gave KCD to a D. They
Concord's
didn't say
dead.
David a 6
The
out of
Costco
10.
guys made more money
Which is
than
above
you. They were just on
average.
Jimmy
First,
Fallon
only
too.
person I know who
Imagine
uses
Lennox
a letter
being
grade.
on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta, beep-a-dap, boop. Skim, milk, the rat freak, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
They sure did. But you know what? It's okay. Because we got all of this for it. All those laughs, the music, the songs, the joy, the dancing. We got all of that because of Concord. Do you think rats actually ate his face? I do. I do. I really, really do. It's true. I wouldn't trade the Concord song for the world. Neither would I. I don't think any of us would. Yes, the game's failure did lead to a lot of suffering and misery for a lot of people. But we got the song out of it. So at least there's that. At least there's that. How are you guys doing? Feeling good? Feeling lively? Hopefully you are. Do I have a playlist with all the songs? Not really. No. I just kind of play them at the start of streams. I've not done anything sorted with them. So no, I don't actually have that. But yes, they are fun. The songs are fun. I will say that. Somebody got upset. They're like, Luke, you're by using the AI generator for those songs, you're putting real songwriters out of work. And I was like, are you asking me to go and hire like a local band to produce like dozens of songs, meme songs about video games that failed? I did use Fiverr once for making music. Some of you guys might be OGs. Do you remember when I did Rhapsody Stream? It was basically a small little startup thing I worked on for a bit, where I paid a bunch of artists to make music that was royalty free that you'd play in the background of like streams and videos and stuff. And it ended up falling apart because I hired musicians to make the music, and it turned out that they were just like using stolen music, or they were taking beats or things from other royalty-free platforms, and these were not cheap. Like I paid one guy like $1,200 for like 6 songs or 10 songs or something like that, And it all started getting copyright struck, which was the opposite of the entire point of the entire thing. And I found out that it's because the guy was like taking other people's music and then selling it as his. Did I hire Cyrex? No, but that would have been really funny if I accidentally hired Cyrex. But yeah, it just kind of fell apart, and then it was like too expensive. It was going to cost more money to like seek damages and go after the guy, because I think he was in Scotland. It was more expensive to do that than just moving on and shutting down, which kind of sucks. So I just lost that money. Just lost it, which sucks. So yeah, you never know. You never know what you're getting yourself into. But the stupid AI songs at least are fun. At least they're fun. Oh my God, thank you for the sub with Prime over on Twitch. Zombie Fish, thank you for the sub. And Fuster, thank you for the sub with Prime over on Twitch as well. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Logan, let me catch up on these. He's late because he spilled his candle. You have no way of proving that. Thank you for the other two. Spilt. English isn't my first language. Oh, you're fine. Spilled, spilt. I know people where English is their first language and they would not know which one is proper. So yeah. Reanimal demo's out now. Dude, I downloaded it. I've not tried it yet, but I'm excited to. Logan, thank you for the 10. You're about your rating system. Do I have a rating system? I mean, I guess colloquially. Anyway, about your rating system, you said Polygon gave KCD2 a D. They gave it a 6 out of 10, which is above average. You're the only person I know who uses a letter grade system. You have to convert it for people. 5 is average, but using your system, it would be a failure. Please convert your units. Sure. The point is, we were talking, if I recall correctly, we were talking about Metacritic and how the average consumer seems to view it, where anything below 80 is viewed as average. And I think a lot of that comes from the American grading system, where a C is, C's get degrees. C's are in the 70s. So if you get a 70%, it's a C, and that's considered average. Most classes in the US for universities or even high schools will grade on a curve where C is the average grade for most students who are proficient. And anything below that, like in the 60s, is viewed as a D, so it's subpar. And then anything in the 50s or lower is considered a failure. So the American grading system kind of converts that way. And that's how many people interpret Metacritic scores. And the problem with Metacritic inherently is that there is no consistent demand for the rating scale. IGN has their own scale versus Game Rant versus Eurogamer versus VGC versus this studio or this outlet versus that outlet. So some of them will grade and give it the effective like 3 out of 5 stars. And by their grading metric, that 3 out of 5 stars might mean good or very good or whatever you want to say. But let's say good. But when compared to somebody else like an IGN who gave it a 6 out of 10, which is the same score converted up to 10. 6 out of 10, I think they call that mediocre, or is that 5 out of 10? Let's see. 6 out of 10 is okay. So they consider 6 out of 10 okay. So for one outlet, 6 or the 3 out of 5 stars would be good. But for another outlet, when you convert it, it's actually below good. It's considered okay or subpar. So I agree that rating review metrics are not consistent. That's kind of my point in bringing up that 3 out of 5 stars by some metrics is considered bad. And that skews the Metacritic score and skews everything else, which is why I think Metacritic, by its very nature, is kind of stupid. So, yeah. The reason I will kind of colloquially refer to letter grading is because I found it is easier for the average person to understand what I'm trying to communicate when I say, yeah, this is an A+ game versus like, this is a D- kind of game. You understand that. Whereas every single freaking time that I say this plays like a 6 out of 10. They're like, it's above average. Like, no, like, because again, it depends on what scale you are familiar with. Americans are used to the American grading system where 6 out of 10 is subpar. 6 out of 10 would be like barely passing. I understand in other countries around the world, that's not how they're used to it, but that's what it is. I prefer much more to just describe what a game is like instead of trying to put a number on it. I think that just works better. Describe, this game is really good. It has these problems. And then you fill in the blanks. Because anytime you give any sort of number scale or letter grade, it just gets picked apart. Exhibit A. So, Mr. Romeo, it's a little chilly outside, but Mr. Romeo wanted to go outside today. And so he got to wear his brand new jacket. Little Mr. Romeo, he's got a brand new like fleece jacket he puts on when it's cold outside, and he's very cute in it. He's very cute. Do I have a picture actually? Oh my god, he's so cute. He's so cute. This was him right after we put it on, and he's so cute. This was in like the little dog run we have. So he put on his little jacket. He's like all cozied up. He likes it a lot. Initially, he's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Then you put it on, and you like buckle it in, and he's like,
10 pounds through Super Chat.
It's very cute.
In reference to your segment about journalist credibility, I learned to disregard outlets like Sign and trust people that were around back in the day, like Jim Sterling and Total Biscuit. Rip.
I like to disregard outlets like Sign. Oh, I bet you said IGN and then it added an S. It autocorrected. I bet that's what happened. Yeah, well, I think a lot of people generally do that. That's at least what I've seen. And it's why I think the point of that segment was me just saying, I think review aggregators should include individual reviewers like a Total Biscuit, and like, because most people who are very online and gamers, they follow that, like those people closely, and that's how they decide what they want or what they don't want to play. Like, I still have not met somebody who's like, I wasn't gonna get the game, but I saw IGN gave it a 9. Like, I've never seen somebody do that. Or I was gonna get the game, but then I saw that IGN gave it a 4 or a 5. Like, I've never seen somebody's buying behaviors change based on what IGN did. So I'm like, why are you therefore giving them a larger seat at the table, but you aren't giving like ACG or Skillip a seat at the table, you know? It's just weird to me. Yeah, rip Total Biscuit. Rest in peace, indeed. Did I ever review South of Midnight? I haven't played, but I'm curious about your thoughts. I started playing it. I did not finish it because something else came out right about the same time. Maybe it was Expedition 33 or something. But when I played it, it was like kind of exactly what it looks like. It is a lot of style. It's graphically and artistically really, really good. But like the gameplay is kind of meh, which is what you should expect from that studio. So if you're one of those guys that wants a lot of form and style over like substance of gameplay, you're gonna love it. It's great. But if you're looking for like really intense, meaty gameplay, like you're probably not gonna find it there. All the combat's very samey, you know. Very samey. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Dr. Dave. We have a doctor? A doctor? Thank you for 20 months. Just started KCD2, getting 70 frames with max settings, running natively on a laptop. Astounding, setting the bar for other developers. Yeah, dude, they really, really optimized it. It runs really well on handhelds too. Steam Deck, ROG Ally, not even the X, just the base Ally. It runs really well on all of it. It is so refreshing to have a port that, or not even a port, but to have a game that looks really good and runs really well all at the same time on tons of different hardware. It's almost like if it's a priority for devs, they can make it happen. And to their credit, they did it. They did it. It's so refreshing in 2025 to have a game like that, but there you go. Did I beat Ghost of Yotei yet? Thoughts? Yeah, after finishing it, like I still have a lot of like grinding, and I like maxing out like different armor sets and loadouts. It was one of the things I did a ton
All
in Ghost
Night
of Tsushima.
donated £10 through Super Chat. Remember folks, you can't spell ignorant without IGN.
Without ign. Just saying. You're right. Thank you for the 10. Thank you for the 10. But I do what was I saying? Oh yeah. I spent a lot of my time in Ghost of Tsushima like grinding out high level armor sets and swapping them out for like quick loadouts. I just like doing that. And so I have more of that to do in Yote, but my core critiques stay the
Francisco the
same, I
Disco
think.
donated $10 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, I figure Xbox wants
Hey.
to leave the console space, but I wonder how they plan on making a profit as a publisher when most of their own games are mid-AAA games at the budget time and price of AAA.
I will circle back to that because it has to do with something we're bringing up. Okay. Because I didn't find it. It was shared with me, but there's a job listing. Jump scare. That I think is revealing. So I'll circle back to that. But just going back to Yote, my core critiques stay the same. I think Atsu is not as good of a lead as Jin. I think the arc that Atsu goes on is nowhere near as compelling as the one that Jin went on. I just think the writing is night and day, way better in Tsushima than it was in Yote. Doesn't mean that Yote is bad. It just means that Tsushima is exceptional and Yote is really good. You know, so it can still be worth playing. It's just like Tsushima may be masterpiece, and then Yote is really good, but it's just not on that same level, you know? Yeah. Really, I think she's better. I understand why some people found Jin very dry. But I just think like the broad strokes character arc way more compelling. Like no spoilers, maybe in like a future segment we'll do a spoiler cast for Yote and I'll be able to get specific, but obviously people are still playing it. But just like very simply explain my perspective, I think Yote's Jin Sakai's character arc is like, you know, a crazy arc. Maybe even at times it's like a sine wave. Like there's moments of peaks and valleys, and then he returns down and ends up better than ever. And it's like that. There's tons of stuff happening. Ghost of Yote, I feel, is kind of like this. And so it's like, it's just nowhere near as compelling or interesting. Like there's like a little bit of something happening here if you like think about it and really dig into it, but it just doesn't hit for me anywhere near as hard as
Your
Jin's
turn.
story.
Donated £10 through Super
No, it's your
Chat.
turn.
Hey, Daddy Luke. I just finished playing Eric's Home and really enjoyed it. Short, sweet, fun, and beautiful. Greenheart, I'd like to see more small, short games that bring quality over quantity.
Yeah, if people don't know what your turn's referring to, this is the one I showed you guys on stream because I thought it was really, really interesting. But I've played it too. Also plays very well on handhelds like Steam Deck. But it's just, the cutscenes are insane too. But it's a fairly straightforward, like top-down stealth game, I guess is primarily what it would be, with some light puzzle work and things like that. And honestly, it's got some of the best world building of any game this year. It's just really well executed and well done. The story's interesting. It's really well done. I recommend, if you want to support a small team that's making something pretty unique and different, you should give this a shot because the presentation alone is really, really good. So I recommend you check it out too. It's a good time. It's a good time. I would love to see them do something like really spooky and creepy. One that I'd love to see would be like if they did sort of an Order 1886 style game. Ooh. But yeah, people should absolutely go try it. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, I read that one. Let's see. Okay, I did read that one. South of Midnight, read that one. Francisco the Disco, we'll circle back to yours because it has to do with one of the things that we're going to talk about. And then Canal Hoopla, thank you for the 5. Hey, not sure if you talked about it before, but thoughts on Ananta? Looks like everything in everything game, but not sure if they'll be able to pull it off. Yeah, we briefly talked about it. That's that game, guys, where it seemed to have a lot of like animations that were like 1-to-1 copies of other games, and it seems to just have like freaking everything. Oh, this is gonna be copyright struck. Like crazy combat, huge scope and scale, tails, because why not? Stealth sequences, like they just have a little bit of absolutely everything, and I think it's probably fair to say that it's going to be huge and it's going to make tons of money. Whether it's going to be popular in the US, I don't know, or in like Western markets, I don't know, because these types of games tend to be built primarily for Eastern audiences. And so I genuinely don't know, but it does seem at least very, very ambitious. But you're going to see a lot more games like this where they are being built by massive teams from Eastern development studios. They make crazy, huge, ambitious games. They make it look like nobody else is even trying. And it's going to make a lot of Western devs look really lazy and incompetent. So buckle up. But the downside of that is that typically these games have to make money somehow. And they're coming from studios and publishers that are known for like extensive gacha mechanics and pay to win mechanics and stuff like that. But I think time will tell as to whether this falls into the same traps. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows? It's just typically these types of games, they do look crazy. There is a lot going on, but there's usually a catch. There's usually a catch, you know? Grand Theft Anime. Yeah, kind of. They said no gacha for characters, just gacha for cosmetics. Yeah, gacha is one of the primary monetization mechanics that they rely on. I'm glad to hear that they're just using it for for cosmetics, not for characters. But it's like, okay, so cosmetics, do the cosmetics affect gameplay in any way, or is it purely cosmetics? You just gotta wait and see. You never know, because in some of those Eastern markets, and especially in mobile games and things like that, gacha is not considered taboo. It's like kind of a feature as opposed to a downside. For people like you and me, hearing that you have to do pulls for anything in the game is usually like you sigh and roll your eyes. But for some people, that's like exciting. It's like what they want. Read some of there's 10 million registered with interest in it. Yeah, like I said, some of these games, they explode, and you'll never really hear that much about them if they're big in the East, because they tend to be very isolated. But it's the same thing, like even games like freaking crap, what is it called? Genshin Impact. It's freaking gigantic, huge. And nobody I know plays it, but it's huge. Absolutely crazy. So, are there any plans for a physical version of Oblivion? I don't know, and I have not heard. So I don't have anything to say on that, unfortunately. I don't know. Alex, thank you for the 5. Hey, Luke, what is one bold, ambitious prediction you have for the video game industry headed into 2026 and into the next console generation? Bold and ambitious prediction. I think we're going to see a number of open world, like specifically RPG games, start to integrate LLMs, probably initially as like an added bonus feature. But basically all that means is that they want to be able to build it out so that, like that NVIDIA demo, you can have conversations with NPCs in game. NVIDIA, crap, what was it called? NVIDIA, I think this is it. Yeah. This. NVIDIA Ace. This is from 2 years ago. Imagine how much more advanced it is now.
interaction between a player. We're thrilled to showcase an immersive and dynamic interaction between a.
You need a ton of VRAM though. That assumes that they're going to do it on device. What is one thing we know executives love? Always online connectivity. One way that you could get players to be okay with that is by requiring an online connection to send signals off for these types of interactions.
Player Kai and a non-playable character named Jin. This captivating ramen shop scene was created by NVIDIA using the latest RTX rendering technologies. NVIDIA collaborated with Convey, an NVIDIA Inception partner, to showcase how developers will soon be able to use NVIDIA Riva, Nemo, and Audio to Face for AI-powered speech, conversation, and animation. These models were integrated into the Convey Services platform and fed into Unreal Engine 5 and MetaHuman to bring Jin to life. Please take a look.
So this is a prototype, but they had this running 2 years ago.
Hey Jen, how are you?
Unfortunately, not so good.
How come?
I am worried about the crime around here. It's gotten bad lately. My ramen shop got caught in the crossfire.
Can I help?
If you want to do something about this, I have heard rumors that the powerful crime lord Kuman Aoki is causing all sorts of chaos in the city. He may be the root of this violence.
I'll talk to him. Where can I find him?
I have heard he hangs out in the underground fight clubs on the city's east side. Try there.
Okay, I'll go.
So I think what they're going to do is this will be an added feature. So you know how NVIDIA sometimes does like exclusive marketing deals with like Cyberpunk, for example. And if you want to try overdrive path tracing and stuff, they make it as like an exclusive thing in that game, an optional thing. I think what's going to happen is in the next couple of years, NVIDIA will go to an open world video game maker like a CDPR or Ubisoft or someone, and they will say, hey, we will basically front the bill to add immersive mode where it's exclusive to your game, but instead of NPCs using the canned dialogue options that you've already built for the game, we'll train one of our LLMs or something to analyze the dialogue, understand the context of the situation, where they are, what they're wearing, things like that. And then if you opt in the settings, you can play in immersive mode and just have conversations with NPCs. You walk down the street, you turn to this guy and say, hey, nice weather we're having, huh? Through your headphone microphone, and it'll respond to you sort of realistically, and then you carry on with your day and you keep playing. I think that is going to become very common. I think they're going to push for that. So yeah. Do I mean that am I saying I love that? No, but I think it's going to happen. So they signaled this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, AI was nowhere near as big of a deal as it is today. And it was already being thought of back then. So just imagine what it looks like now. Imagine what it's going to be in 2-3 years, you know? So I think that's going to become very, very mainstream, I guess. But it's not just about what you and I think of it. It's what the average casual consumer thinks of it. And I do think that this is something that could very easily be marketed to the average consumer, because it is genuinely, it's a cool idea that you could just have a conversation with an NPC in a game. It is genuinely cool. Imagine if you could have actual dialogue with the Bloody Baron in The Witcher 3 and give him a piece of your mind. Now, do I think that works in the context of a video game, like the kind of game that you and I like to play? Probably not, because you would have to have consequence for what you say. You know, if you come up to this guy and you just immediately like threaten his life or something, that should change what amount of information he's willing to give you. It should change what or how he treats you. Like, there's a lot more complexity to this than just simple prompt and answer. But I do think that this will start to become very commonplace. And it is something that's already been implemented through mods, as I see some of you bring up, into like Skyrim, where Skyrim has AI mods. You connect it to ChatGPT and it can have NPCs respond to you and talk to you in real time. But all that's just like fun prototype mods. I think it will break into like the AAA space with some of these big collaborations and partnerships. Because last gen, NVIDIA's whole thing was to sell exclusive like ray tracing stuff. Now it's going to be AI.
Chat. NGL, I am interested in Yote now BC of reviews, but at first I didn't know what else they could do to make it a standout open world experience since it heavily grounds in realism. New Sea Desert vid out BTW.
Yes, I did see that. We're going to watch that in a second. I'm very excited. But yeah, I mean, Yote is very good. Yote is very good. It's just not, narratively, it's not as good as Tsushima, in my opinion. In terms of gameplay, in terms of presentation, in terms of technical achievement, in terms of all of that stuff, yeah, I think Yote is better. But you'd also hope it would be after what's been 5 years. It needs to be better. I mean, if it weren't better, that'd be a big problem. But narratively, I find it not quite on the same level. Still worth playing, absolutely. Still worth playing. So yeah, what's my big bold prediction? This. I think this becomes very heavily pushed in the next couple of years, probably. Sorry, not sorry. Just calling it like I see it. Thank you for the 10. I feel with every big game release, RDR fans manage to be the most insufferable people on the internet with bad faith comparisons. But if you bring something like The Last of Us 2, they call it unfair because it's linear. Oh, you're referring to like the comparison videos where people are like, oh, your game looks fine, but the horse's balls don't drop. Yeah, I could see that. I think the inevitability is that people look to the exception and then try to compare it as if it's the rule. And I can understand why that can be frustrating for like game devs, because they're like, yeah, we didn't have $500 million to make this. We didn't. And so, yeah, we don't have a lot of those extra bells and whistles. That doesn't mean the game is bad, though. And I think with all these things, a lot of the Red Dead comparisons and things, they're comparing the end of the spectrum. Like, maybe, how do I even demonstrate that? I think for a lot of games, like, features are kind of like this. So, like, this axis is, like, you know, features. I can't write. Features. And then this is like, you know, the quality, maybe. Quality. Bear with me, I'm using a mouse. So, you know, as you add features early on, there's huge jumps in quality as you add features. But as you get further and further along, and I feel like this is where you start to get to the AAA side of things, like this is the AAA range, is all of this. I think you just start to get diminishing returns on the investment. So for like Red Dead having all of this extra stuff, you tie up your horse and the horse dynamically pees on the ground and colors the snow yellow if the horse is standing there for a while. That is technically a feature. That's technically a little bit extra, but the amount of improved quality for like the average person's experience with the game is pretty minimal. Like, is that really going to make the game that much better? Not really, but it's attention to detail. It's those little bitty things that eventually add up into something more significant. But I think the danger is that a lot of the time people will compare something like that and then try to conclude, therefore, that the quality is way lower than it actually is. And I don't think that's fair. Like, oh, this linear story game I'm playing doesn't allow you to swim in the ocean. Does that mean that it's bad? No. Like, what are you talking about? Touch grass, you know? And it can be very frustrating for me talking about games so often, where you can describe how a game's story is really compelling, the gameplay services the story, and the gameplay loop reinforces the narrative and all this stuff that's pretty core to a game being good. And then somebody's like, yeah, but you know, the character's kind of ugly, so it's like, bro, we can't have nice things anymore. I swear to God, it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. What's this? Oh yeah, they also had that. I forgot that we had that update. Okay. Let's do, did I read that one? Can you check out Unleash the Avatar? Is that the new thing they just dropped? I think we'll get copyright struck if I look at it, unfortunately. I learned the hard way that YouTube's copyright tech is better than ever. Better than ever. Let's see, made in India, Souls-like game. Or is, no, this isn't what I was thinking it was. Yeah, I was thinking this was something else. Bear with me. Bear with me. Unleash the Avatar. Posted 5 hours ago from IGN India. And it says, a studio based in Bengaluru, India, led by Varun Maya, has revealed a new trailer for the upcoming game, Release the Avatar, or Unleash the Avatar. It's a Souls-like game inspired by Indian epics. Okay.
Someone's watching us.
I mean, it comes off as quite indie. It's like a little clunky, and you know, Souls-like games, they got to be tight. They got to be really tight. Like there's just something off with when the parry hits versus when the attack is landing that just makes it feel a little sluggish. I mean, obviously presentation is pretty solid. It seems to be an Unreal Engine game, so you'd kind of expect to see that. But let's see. It's a Souls-like, so let's see the boss fight.
Remember, my child, you are no deity. This is a drop in the ocean of my power. Time is of the essence.
Chad Williamson donated $9.99 through Super Chat.
You can get there, just need
I
some
feel
love.
like Rockstar sets the new standard for graphical representation for each generation, and other studios try to meet that standard.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I mean, it's good because they do a great job of it, but they show what's possible at the same time. But even now, I mean, it feels like they set the standard for the generation a generation early. So they make Red Dead in 2018, and then for the next 10 years, everybody's just trying to get to that level. And by the end of the PS5 era, we're starting to get games that can generally look about the same and maybe have similar levels of fidelity. But then they come out with GTA 6 and it's on a whole other level that for the next generation, everybody's going to be chasing. So they're just a full generation ahead, you know, casually, like it's nothing. But that's just because they're top of the line. But nobody else can really justify that crazy of expense for these types of games. It just doesn't make sense. Like, very few other studios could justify spending $1 billion to $2 billion on a game as a single bet. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It just, monetarily, the numbers don't work unless you're like delusional and willing to gamble money on like live service stuff that you think the potential payoff is so high you can risk it. But as we've seen with like Sony stuff, hasn't worked out. You can spend $3.7 billion on Bungie. It does not mean that you will get a Destiny 2.0 or I guess 3.0. It just doesn't work that way. You can spend 400 million on Concord. Does not mean that you'll get the next big Overwatch, you know. But with Rockstar and Take Two Interactive, they've found a way to just consistently knock it out of the park. And hey, if you know we're gonna get double or triple whatever we put in to this money machine, of course you start turning the dial up and up and up until eventually you're putting like, you know, yeah, you start putting in, you know, $1 billion, $2 billion, starts to add up. Fair Games will save the business. Fair Games will save PlayStation. Lock it in. It wasn't 4 billion. No, so the number was initially 3.6. After the deal closed, it was revealed to be closer to 3.7 billion for Bungie. Concord, the initial number was about $200 million. Colin Moriarty said that he had a contact with knowledge of it, and that contact told him it was closer to 400 million. But as with most things, it depends on how you count it, which is important to note. Because basically, like, when you say Concord cost 400 billion, are you saying that the Secret Level documentary, are you including that money they spent on that in the $400 million number? Should you? Because that's not technically the game. You could say it's promotion for the game, but if you count it as part of that, that adds up to it. You could say, okay, well, does buying the studio mean also money spent on Concord? I would argue yes, because you only bought the studio for Concord. But, you know, like, it depends on how you count it. And the tricky thing with a lot of these companies is that they will find ways to count the numbers in a way that's beneficial, or that looks better, or is better for taxes and writing it off, which is why sometimes they'll just shut the studio down and move on. Just be like, okay, it's all a loss. You know, I think some people misunderstand what tax write-offs are as well, though, because some people treat tax write-offs as though it's like free money. And that's not what it does. It discounts the cost at the marginal tax rate for the firm where they're located and based on everything else going on. So it's not like free money. If you spend $400 million on Concord and you write it off, yes, you will save some money on taxes. That's true. But you would definitely have preferred it made money or broke even, because that's worth a lot more. So it's often, there's some tax shenanigans you can play, but there's also, I think it's exaggerated sometimes, as if it's some magical panacea to finances. It's just write it off. It's like, that's not how that works. It's the same thing where I see it all the time in my like circles of content creators who don't frankly know what they're doing financially. And so what they'll do is they'll go and they'll buy like $100,000 car or something. And then they'll try to write it off, which first of all, you can't do because it's not a business expense. So if you get audited by the IRS, you're going to owe back taxes and you're going to pay penalties and interest on that. So you'll go from, you could have just paid 30, or let's say what some people do is they'll have like $100,000 in tax liability. They buy a $100,000 car and they write it off. So it ends up being zero. Yay, I don't have to pay taxes. But once you get caught, they go back and say, okay, no, that was not a business expense. You owe us the $100,000 of tax liability. The effective tax rate on that's like 35%. So you owe us 35 grand. And now you pay interest on that and penalties. So now you owe us like 60. And now you also have to pay for that $100,000 car you bought. Oops. So people get caught in all sorts of, you know, stupid games and they win stupid prizes. Honestly, it's just karma. It's just karma. That's how it works. I will say though, every 3 months, I have to write such frustratingly large checks to the IRS. It's depressing. It's really depressing because, like, you know, you buy something for the business, you buy a new camera or something, you have something. When you write the check for your quarterly tax estimate, it's just money that goes away and you're just like, so sad. It's just so sad. Money, please. Money now, please. Money me. Yeah, exactly. Those of you who think it's free, please give me 10K and write it off in taxes. Dude, I cannot even tell you how many content creators I have been around who just have no idea what they're doing. Like, it's not my place I'm not a tax advisor, so it's not my place to tell
Cat
them or yell at them.
1997 donated
But
100 Saudi riyals through Super Chat.
thank you. Thank you. Very generous. Appreciate you, my friend. But anyway, yeah, we could talk about that all day because there's some amazing stories. And dude, one day I'll just go full scorched earth and I'll tell you some of the insane, crazy stories I have, because there's some stuff I've found out about some people that's just unbelievable. I'm like, no way. But like, if you get a feeling, all I'll say is this: if you get a feeling with a creator, and maybe you're like, this guy seems really cool. They usually are really cool. If you're like, this person seems fake and inauthentic, they are fake and inauthentic. Most people's gut vibes around certain creators is very, very accurate. Like, you look at me, that guy looks like he drinks candles. You know, trust your gut. Trust your gut. This person seems like a wax drinker. Exactly. Yeah. He gives that vibe, you know? Call it a hunch. Oh my God. Release the candle cut. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's do this. What's some of this? Yeah, this guy seems like he has a life-size cutout of an obscure video game developer. Yeah, he sure does. Okay, let's do this. News every. I saw the candle tape. It's real. But then a bunch of guys in black Todd Howard suits came to my door and stole the tape. Told me I didn't see anything. It's unbelievable. Okay, let's do this. Ladies and gents, we got another one. Another Crimson Desert clip. This one is the Gold Star Quest gameplay from IGN. This is all part of IGN First, so they have like an exclusive deal with them to just share a ton of clips and snippets of the game. And I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for it. Tons of new info getting dumped on Crimson Desert. Every time I see more about this game, it looks better and better. Let's see what they have today. Let's see.
Our latest look at Crimson Desert takes us to an encounter with a giant mechanical dragon called the Golden Star. In this section of gameplay, we'll see different glimpses of this quest, which culminates in a big battle against the beast itself. We'll have more on how this boss was designed later in our IGN First for October, but for now, sit back and enjoy.
I'm guessing this is PlayStation 5 console footage. I think it is. The last snippet we saw was, I confirmed it, was in fact PC footage that they were using a PlayStation controller on, which is why all the button prompts matched. With this one though, I'm seeing some like upscale artifacting we didn't see in the previous ones, which makes me think that it's probably actual PlayStation console footage, but that is not confirmed. It's just my impression looking at the footage.
Colin Puckett donated $9.99
Thank you, Colin.
through Super Chat. Hello, I honestly don't know how to ask this, but in your opinion, do you think people will be getting GTA 6 on day one, even though I do believe they won't release the online right away?
Yeah, I think there'll be kind of two phases to it. Most likely what they do is that it's going to be like GTA 6, and then roughly a month later they'll do online, and I think they're going to release it in waves with early access as a premium upgrade. So like, for example, it might be the base game is $80, but if you want the deluxe edition, that's $120, and if you buy the deluxe, you get the game a week early, and you'll also get online access a week early. And so through the power of FOMO, they will get you to buy the game in a premium deluxe version at a higher price point to play it early so that you don't miss out. So I think that that's what's going to happen. And I've been saying that for ages, but I think that they probably are going to stagger the release windows, give you early access by paying more, and a lot of people will pay more. So buckle up. But yeah, that's what I think it is. I'm antisocial. I don't get FOMO. Jokes on them. Savor that, because a lot of people will still be buying it. It's going to be crazy. Yeah. You thought, dude, some of you guys were here when we tried Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. And when we played that, we had people, we went on like Twitch and we're finding people that were saying, if you're not playing Suicide Squad right now, you're just a brokey. The only reason people aren't playing it right now is because they don't want to pay the $70. Because remember, that was a $70 live service game. And they said, you're only doing that because you're a brokey. You're just filthy brokey. That vibe is going to be way worse with GTA. Just wait. Just wait. Kai Cenat's gonna have another begathon where like every 30 seconds he wants a new copy of GTA 6 bought for him. It's gonna be crazy, dude. It's gonna be crazy. Buckle up. And then that same guy couldn't log into the game for like an hour, if I remember correctly. Yes, Leo, you're right. It was couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. It was a whole thing. Okay, continuing. Crimson Desert. Let's see.
At last, you're here. I am the true Marnie. The Marnie you encountered was Hall, a constructed consciousness, my mirror self, if you like.
I don't know what you mean.
Yes, I'm sure it's quite confusing. Just know every alarming event across Delicia is Hall's handiwork. So, let's cut to the chase. You're seeking a means to destroy the Flying Fortress.
I am, yes.
It wasn't built for war, you know. That was never its purpose. Fearing I'd delete him, Hall struck a bargain with Caliban, locked me up, and fled to the fortress where he warped it into a weapon. In order to destroy such a weapon, you'll need to acquire Golden Star's power core.
Golden Star.
Yes, a weapon that can rival the fortress itself. With that device, we can overload the fortress's own power core.
It does sound like Asterion. I was trying to... One of you guys also said it sounds like the cut from Forspoken. I also can hear that. But I think Asterion sounds closer. It's not as flirtatious, but like that little don't was very Asterion. Listen.
Overload the fortress's own power core. Don't worry about the details. The device on your arm will do the heavy lifting for you. Just jam that core into the fortress.
I'll jam it.
I can jettison Hall out of there.
Simple enough.
If you have an inquisitive mind, feel free to poke around. Plenty of notes, scribbles, and half-finished masterpieces lying about. Cheerio for now.
I can't read it. It's written in spaghetti. Still better than Doctor's handwriting. Dude, have you seen... Sorry, ADHD kicking in. Have you seen Russian cursive? Like, bro, I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. This is Russian cursive. This is that word. Just loop, 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 loop. Like, how do you do... Like, what? How do you even... I don't understand. It's just the same loop over and over. Like, imagine Russian doctor's cursive. What I just... look at this. Oh, yeah. Why didn't you say so? Like, I can't even imagine, dude. It's wild. Like, I appreciate that they went to the trouble of writing all this down. What? I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. That's just 6-year-old me pretending to sign my signature. Yeah, it seems like it. Imagine if this was like a matter of life and death. It's like, okay, wait, how many CCs do we need? Wait, what medication is he allergic to? It's like, I can't tell. He's allergic to U. Like, anyway, okay, sorry, distracted. This is what you get when you come to a Luke Stevens segment. You should know that this happens. Okay, continuing. Luke, you were looking at a clip of Crimson Desert gameplay fighting a giant robot dragon. Why are you looking up Russian cursive? They got one of them Fallout doors. Boats confirmed. Water confirmed. Fish confirmed. Paddling confirmed. God of War ripoff. Dude, it would actually unironically be really funny if at one point there's a mission where you have like a severed head you have to bring back. Bring me his head. That type of thing. And he just sets it on the chair and talks to it while he paddles. That would actually be very funny. What a callback would that be? I mean, come on. Ah, bunch of oil guzzlers. The EMP blast, dude. Dude, again, I just can't get over how just when you're like, oh, this is cool, there's just like a little something and you're like, what? Like that. He's just fighting a big girthy clanker and then just watch the shadow that goes over top. What's that? I'm sorry, what? Oh no. And it's just like it's nothing. There's just a shadow of a gigantic freaking dragon. Like what? Like it's nothing, it's whatever. Just a dragon. That used to be a selling point in a game where it's like, hey, there's dragons in this game. That's it. Now they're just like, oh, but did we forget to mention? Sorry. Dude, Mech Dragon is somehow even cooler than a regular dragon. Straight into gameplay. There's a term for what I'm feeling. There's a term for this. What is the word? It's a very specific word. Oh, hard? Throbbing? Yeah, that's a good one too. What is the dude, there's got to be also, is this just like steampunk? I don't know what it is, but I love the vibe of like everything is mechanically thought through, where every like joint, the muscle is being replaced by like these chains that are tied to gears, and so you can see this moves when this chain is rotated this way. Like I love how carefully thought out all of that little stuff is, because you don't need to. They could cover it up with just gold gilded skin and everybody be like, yeah, looks cool, but instead they go to that level. I love it.
Jimbo404 donated $10 through Super Chat. The problem is when games make the dragons just as difficult as John Henchman Boss and not the most feared creature in the world.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it should feel special. It should feel significant. Otherwise, why should the player feel like it's significant? It's one of my frustrations with like Skyrim, for example. Even as like a youngin', I thought it was kind of weird that I'm like, so the dragons are these extremely feared monsters that roam the lands and kill indiscriminately. And then I'm just like farming them to get dragon scales to sell, to buy more cheese. You know, like it doesn't feel special anymore. It doesn't feel special. Whereas this seems quite special. Seems quite special, dare I say. Continuing. Dude, I'm sorry. On Twitch, they banned the term aroused. Twitch says aroused is problematic. Okay, what's going on with Twitch anymore? I swear to God. Oh yeah, this is probably why I also like the look of Clockwork Revolution, because it's a similar, like, mechanical vibe. Destruction physics. I love the smooth transition from cutscene straight into gameplay. I'm assuming it's gonna have elemental weaknesses, specifically to electricity. That would make sense to me. Maybe also to ice. Oh! There's also normal dragons flying around during the robot dragon boss fight. 'Cause why not? Dude, it's just so casual. Like, oh, there's a dragon. It's like it's a bird. Again, in years past, having dragons in your game, period, was like a selling point. It's like a big marketing moment and beat when you reveal that. And with Crimson Desert, this game has so much stuff going on that they're just like, oh yeah, most games would have like pigeons, maybe a couple of quail, possibly an eagle or two. And they're just like, yeah, no, dragons. Big dragon, just casually flying through the scene. That's crazy. That's crazy. Swing, my boy! Oh. Swing! Appreciate you, Super Donut.
Super Donut _1988 donated $10 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, in your opinion, what's the right balance for a AAA game being art and a product? Like, do you see GTA 6 as art or a product?
I mean, ideally it's both. Maybe this is a controversial take, but I think the world's most remembered, appreciated, and impactful artists were artists who knew how to sell their art as a product. Even modern ones like Banksy know how to craft a message that's powerful while also making it marketable. That's the key. Sometimes it doesn't happen till after they're dead, like, you know, Picasso. Picasso famously had to burn some of his paintings and illustrations to or sell them to pay for food. And there's also probably more legendary stories of him having to burn them to stay warm in the winter. Same with like Van Gogh and other artists. It's kind of a common motif. But yeah, I think there's a melding of the two. As for what the balance should be, I would prefer as much art as possible with as little product as possible, such that you can sell it and pay the bills to make more of it. You know, that's the idea. But perhaps maybe the broader point is I feel like people who think that you can have art that is viewed by the masses that is not to some degree a product, like, I think that's naive. Even things like the Sistine Chapel were commissioned by wealthy patrons and things. Like, it's very rare to have an artist that does something stunning that stands the test of time and people view for centuries that wasn't to some degree a product crafted for a specific clientele, whether that was the church or a governmental body or something else. But all that's kind of beyond the scope of your question, I think. Probably to your question, I would say that GTA 6 is a mix of art and product, whereas like GTA Online is probably much more product than art. But yeah, we don't know yet because we haven't seen the game in a lot of detail. But yeah, it's always melding of the two. And then Forza Horizon 32 months at the show off tier. Gee whiz, thank you. Hello, Senior Steven. Had a lovely weekend watching CitizenCon with a bunch of SC friends, new Planet Tech, and the big raids next year looked great, and the new star system next month should be fun. Yeah, dude, I'm actually gonna dig into it later this afternoon. It's gonna be very, very fun. There's a lot of details, lots of interesting stuff. So absolutely can't wait to dig into it more. Continuing. Swing low, sweet chariots. Okay. Oh, just summon a fire tornado. Okay. So mechanical clockwork blaster. It's got a durability rating. It's level 2 on what looks like the aim metric, level 3 on the effect, level 2 on maybe the speed. So you deploy this, you drop it, and it creates a fire vortex, which implies that there is also going to be other variations of it. That's just... Dude, even that flop looked really good. Like, you know how a lot of boss fights, like, oh, we need the enemy to land on the ground so you can do a finisher or a punishing move or something. And so, like, awkwardly jumps high and then lands centered in the big arena. Even that flop looked really good. Like, look at this. He just kind of, like, tumbles down, first hangs off the ledge, and then collapses. Like, I'm not even seeing precisely when, like, the animation shifted into a bespoke animation for that exact fall. It's just all so smooth. Like, normally you can see the animation swap, but I'm not seeing it. That's crazy. Was this part of the plan? Same with that one. It's so smooth, dude. Again, the dragons just casually flying in the background. Oh, come on. One shot. Oh yeah, go for a ride. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So this is How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, this this is the new How to Train Your Dragon game. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, dude, it's just so insane. It's just crazy. Like, again, every time I see this game, I think it looks better and better, which is not always the case. Lots of games, the more you see it, the less impressed you become, and it's like you see through the charade. And so it's not a given that, you know, just because you saw more of a game, you'll think it looks better. A lot of games, the more they show, the worse it looks. With this one, it just seems bigger and bigger and bigger, and crazier and crazier. And I'd be like, okay, it's too good to be true. It probably doesn't actually play like this. But I've played it, and other people have played it, and it just actually is like this. Like, it's just insane. It's crazy. It's crazy. Really, my only concern with the game at this point is the performance on console, but they seem to be making strides there. I believe this footage is taken from console. I think this is PS5 footage. Based on like some of the upscaling, some of the like artifacting in the fine details, because the PS5 footage always has this kind of like checkerboarded upscaling artifact. And so I think that's probably what's happening. But the previous footage that they had was PC footage, which I confirmed with somebody from the studio or publishing house. And so I don't think that this is... Yeah, here it is. This one. Is this it? Yeah, I think this footage was all PC. So, you know, and there's a lot more, it's just a lot sharper, just across the board, not as many artifacts and stuff. So performance is my only concern. Narratively, I mean, I don't know what the narrative is going to entail, and we won't know, of course, until we get our hands on the game. I'm personally not expecting, like, you know, the next great American novel, in the words of Emil. I don't think we'll get that, but I think it's probably going to be good enough to motivate gameplay and keep you going. But it's absolutely crazy. It really is absolutely crazy just how much stuff is going on across the board in so many different areas of the game. It's just wild. It's just wild. It's crazy. So, I don't know. Hebramiro says, the game I feel lacks cohesion. There's so many systems and art styles mixed into it that it doesn't have a strong identity of its own. I mean, being the everything game is kind of an identity in and of itself. I have heard people say that it's, like, the stereotype is that it's doing everything. How many game systems do you want? Yes. How many games did you take inspiration from? Yes. You know, people are already joking about that. And I think that will become a meme that they'll have to deal with if there are weak points within the gameplay and weak points within certain elements. But as of right now, I mean, it just seems to be really, really solid. I do think people will try it and probably fall off of it, just because I think it doesn't play the way most people will be expecting it to play. It is very much inspired by like fighting games. It is not a Souls-like, which for me is a selling point, but for some it's going to be like surprising. It's just different than you think it's going to be. And so I think some people would load in and expect it to just be like a gigantic open world Souls-like game, and that's not what it is. It is not trying to be Elden Ring 2, you know, it's just not. Which I like, but I can see how if they don't distinguish it clearly in the marketing, it could maybe be confusing. But overall, I mean, I think it looks fantastic. I think it really, really looks great, and I can't wait to see more about it. And we're seeing lots more. So here we are. You need a break from Souls-likes. I mean, they're so omnipresent right now that it's started to lose all feeling of being special. That's why I'm excited to see that, like with the next Souls or next FromSoft game, they're doing some new stuff, some unique stuff. The co-op thing is interesting to me. I still don't know what I think of it, but we'll see. So I find it interesting. Press the wrong button. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're going to talk about the PlayStation and AMD collab, but I have a hard time to digest next gen AA or doubling down on AI upscalers. I understand why they do it, but hope we have a native option. I think the days of rendering natively are gone. So sorry. I just think at this point it's not. Like, what's the payoff for developers? The average consumer, I don't think honestly can tell the difference. Like, I really don't think the average gamer can tell the difference between like balanced pisser upscaling and rendering natively at a low resolution. Like, I just don't think that they can tell. So for developers, they're saying, oh, players can tell the difference between 60 and 30 frames much more easily than they can tell the difference between native 2160p and upscaled from 1440p. So let's aim for higher frame rates, lower resolutions, because the average person can't tell unless they watch a Digital Foundry video on it. And I think that they're probably right, that is a that's the assumption or how a lot of people are going about it. But yeah, I just think they're going to continue doubling down on it. They're going to get better. And at the end of the day, I think it's just you got to go with what your eyes are telling you. If it looks good, go with that. Whatever magic they're doing on the back end to make it happen, who cares, as long as it looks good. There's concerns over latency. There's concerns over that stuff. But frankly, for most games you're going to be playing on a console, the latency between your Bluetooth controller and the console is going to be such that like it's not going to... You're probably not good enough if you're playing on controller on a console to feel the latency differences, you know? Like, it's the same thing when people are like, oh, I got to listen to lossless audio. It's like, and you're listening on your AirPods. You're not able to tell the difference. Like, let's be real. You can't tell the difference. Let's just get it out of the way. Telling that as somebody who's trained on high fidelity audio, you cannot tell the difference. 99% of people can't. 99.999% of people can't. You know, and it's like, to be clear, there's going to be plenty of games where you can tell the difference, which I'm saying rely on your eyes, because there are games that render natively that still look like ass and look blurry and unoptimized and are garbage. And then there's games that use upscalers that look super sharp and are fantastic and run tremendously well. You know, it comes down to results at the end of the day. So, it really depends on DPI, meaning how close you are to it. Resolution is just one of the three aspects. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, but there's also just a lot of people who just legitimately can't really tell the difference. Sometimes it's like, no joke, it's because like my wife one time was playing games and her glasses were very like dirty. And it's because she leaves them on her desk and sometimes the kids grab them or whatever. And she just didn't think to like clean them. But she's like, yeah, it's just kind of blurry. And it was like out of a cartoon. I took her glasses off. got my little alcohol wipe, cleaned them, put them back on her face, and she's like, wow. Because like some people, they just have the glasses on, they don't think about it. Why is it blurry? It's just kind of blurry today. They just don't think about it. And it's like, yeah, oh, makes a difference. But I think a lot of people can't tell the difference because they just honestly don't care. They just don't care. Yeah, I forget, is pisser good or not? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Unfortunately, there's not a clear answer. Some implementations work way better than others. Was it Silent Hill F? I think Silent Hill F's port had like a weird ghosting artifact. So like if you used the PS5 Pro to play it, you had weird like pulsating shadows and stuff, and it looked really, really bad. So it's very inconsistent, unfortunately. It over sharpens the image, also caused really bad grass artifacts in some games. Yeah. As with all things, these are tools, and the tool is only as good as the person wielding it. And if the person wielding it cuts a corner, then there's just not much you can do about it. But it seems like for the PlayStation 5 Pro, most of the added power and feature set is not really appreciated by a lot of gamers. So a lot of developers are choosing to just not even bother with like optimizing it. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Sorry if you guys hear a bunch of rumbling and stuff. The kids just got home with my wife, and it sounds like they are playing upstairs. Okay. News, hey. So we all have heard of the troubles of Xbox recently. We've all heard of that, no doubt. But a story started going around yesterday that I figured we would talk about. It was reported on by a couple of outlets, a couple of different people brought it up. So I figured we would tackle it. Basically, this originates from a job posting from Microsoft. Microsoft posts some job listings on Indeed where you can go and apply stuff like software engineer, senior software engineer, general manager, things like that. So you can see all the job postings and that stuff to figure out, oh, what should I apply for if you want to work there? Cool, right? Cool. Well, they have a job that they posted that some people picked up on called Gaming Finance Transformation Lead. Now, I have tried to verify this directly through the Microsoft website. It seems to have actually been posted by Microsoft, the verified company, on Indeed. My understanding is that the only way that that could happen is if it actually is Microsoft posting the website. But to be clear, there is technically, I guess, a possibility that this was faked, but I don't know how you would fake it because it is apparently officially tied to Microsoft's page. Anyway, the job posting, what is it? Gaming Finance Transformation Lead. It pays between $116,000 and $222,000, depending on where you live, experience, that type of thing. It is full-time and it requires 3 days in the office. Can you imagine? But what is this job? What is this job? Well, let's read about it. At Team Gaming, we are on a mission to bring the joy, excitement, and community of gaming to everyone on the planet. We deliver on that vision by putting players at the core, enabling you to play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want. Finance is at the center of making this vision a reality, playing a central role that supports the entirety of the multi-billion-dollar business to innovate, disrupt, and expand the gaming opportunity worldwide. We are seeking a gaming finance transformation lead with deep integration prowess to drive transformation initiatives with urgency. Okay. And lead financial process and system harmonization across gaming studios. This role will ensure seamless alignment of financial processes, systems, and reporting standards across multiple entities, enabling operational efficiency and compliance to align with business objectives. Microsoft's mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. As employees, we come together with a growth mindset, innovate to empower others, and collaborate to realize our shared goals. Each day, we build upon our values of respect, integrity, and accountability, so long as we don't lay you off, to create a culture of inclusion. Again, so long as we don't lay you off, where everyone can thrive at work and beyond. In alignment with our Microsoft values, we are committed to cultivating an inclusive work environment for all employees to positively impact our culture every day. But again, if we start to feel like you're being a bit of a problem person, you're gone. Don't you dare unionize. Required minimum qualifications: master's degree in business administration, accounting, finance, economics, data science, or related field, and 4 years of experience in financial analysis, accounting, and controllership or finance. Or a bachelor's degree in business administration, accounting, finance, economics, data science, or related field, and 6+ years of financial analysis, accounting, controller, or finance related field, or equivalent experience. So they're open. If you don't meet these checklists, you can at least apply. That's cool. That's cool. People like, Luke, you should apply. I technically couldn't, because I'd have to argue that YouTube has been 6 years of a financial analysis. And plus, let's be real, this job, I think basically what is being required of them is for you to go and basically find ways to not just have consistent reporting standards across studios, but they want to find some way of increasing profitability and having clear standards for all studios and publishers under their umbrella, such that it's easier and not as case by case to track performance. Because the problem right now is that it seems like there's not a whole lot of consistency operationally from studio to studio. Like the standard for BGS is different than the standards or expectations for Activision, you know, or the standards for Blizzard. I can't write. Blizzard has different standards and expectations. Same with smaller teams like Obsidian. You know, they have different standards for what they need to deliver. But what about even smaller, more niche studios, like the smaller teams making some of the smaller indie games and stuff? All of that, like, they should, or they want to have consistent standards where it's like, okay, based on how many dollars you spent, so for every $3 you spend on your game, you need to produce $4. And then you also need to grow the player base by 3%. And you need to also drive Game Pass subscriptions up by 2% in the quarter in which you launch, tied to your genre or whatever. They want to have clear standards so that they can basically put the performance of your game into a spreadsheet, hit enter, and then see if your game was a success or not. That's how Microsoft loves doing things. They like it to be quantitative and very, very data driven. You know, that's the ultimate goal, because numbers are not emotional. Numbers are not a matter of personal opinion. It's not a matter of this or that. You could argue maybe over the inputs or the data set, but ultimately, if the data is correct, the numbers will lead you to the correct answer if your methodology is correct. And what they're looking to do is hire somebody who can build that out so that they don't have to deal with none of that stuff. Basically, responsibilities: accelerate and drive financial transformation efforts for acquisitions and system consolidations, ensuring alignment with corporate policies and regulatory requirements. What is this? Accelerate, so it's already in the works, and drive financial transformation efforts. So they're trying to transform the very financial backbone of the business, which they kind of need to do pretty clearly because they're desperately trying to find ways to increase margins, which is why they're increasing prices of games. They're discontinuing discounts on like DLC and microtransactions through Game Pass portals on like Call of Duty, for example. And they're doing layoffs and everything else to increase margins. They also want to, they mention acquisitions and system consolidations. Interesting. They also say partner with finance, IT, and business stakeholders to drive strategy, prioritize needs and decisions required, align cross-functional milestones and dependencies, actively monitor plans to accelerate milestone completion, and identify gaps and issues and manage escalations. Just fancy terminology to say that you have to work with multiple departments to hit goals faster than they originally were going to be hit. Engage functional leads in creating solutions and issue mitigation, escalation, resolution. Lead complex cross-functional work streams. I mean, again, that's just fancy words for being like, work with other teams and do stuff. That's basically what they're saying. Lead requirements, gather and process harmonization workshops to identify gaps, design future state workflows. Get ahead of the problem, design ways to handle problems in the future without, before that issue even becomes an issue. Change management and communication. Act as a liaison between finance operations and tech teams to ensure smooth adoption of new systems and processes. So this guy also is going to be in charge of working between finance operations and tech to adopt new systems. Knowing Microsoft recently, that just means like AI adoption. That's my guess is what that's referring to. Deliver training and documentation to finance teams on updated tools and workflows. Again, how to use the new AI Copilot tools, for example, to increase efficiency. Ensure internal controls and compliance frameworks are embedded in all integration activities. This is just normal. There's all sorts of compliance crap you have to deal with on the corporate scale, so that's just to be expected. Collaborate with audit and compliance teams to validate financial integrity. Again, audits happen all the time in these big companies. Embody our culture and values. Notice that is at the very bottom. And then like parental leave and stuff like that they mention. So all of this to say, I think the easiest takeaway is they're looking to hire people to specifically overhaul and transform the financial backbone of the gaming division because there's problems. You don't typically need to transform something that's tremendously successful and that's super profitable. You don't typically need to fix a wheel if it's working. You don't need to reinvent the wheel if it's functioning perfectly. You're typically doing this with urgency, as they describe. Where is it? Did I lose it? Maybe it was higher up. Yeah, deep integration with urgency. So they're looking for somebody to get in there and fix it up. I'm surprised, honestly, that the pay is as low as it is. Maybe they're also offering stock options and stuff for certain targets and milestones, but I'm surprised the pay is as low as it is for somebody that allegedly is going to be saving the gaming division. Typically, like this, the responsibilities sound like an executive suite position within the gaming division, but they're paying it like they're paying one of their software engineers, which makes me think that maybe this person does not have as much power as they would otherwise, but still. How could you tackle that assignment, Luke? So people, when I've answered this question before, I think there's sometimes confusion. There's two ways of approaching these types of things. There's the one side, which is look at it through the corporate lens and do what the company needs or wants. Like what would Satya Nadella want to have happen here? What would shareholders want? What increases the bottom line in that way? And then there's like what I would like to see as a gamer and a consumer. And what I would like to see as a consumer and a gamer is not always what's going to make the line go up as fast as it possibly could. I think long-term it would be better, but these companies often don't care that much about long-term results. They care about short-term gain for quarterly reports and stuff. So there's that. I think pretty clearly the Game Pass model of just put big games on Game Pass and somehow it makes money, that clearly is an experiment that has failed. You can't just put these big AAA games on a service where people are paying a flat monthly fee and expect it to generate amazing revenues somehow. It just doesn't work. Netflix learned that the hard way, and somehow we didn't learn from it here. So I think what they should do is they should take games like Call of Duty off of the base Game Pass tiers, which they've already sort of done with like day one copies of big AAA stuff. But I think that they should remove it and they should bring it later on. If you want Game Pass to be the budget item, that's great. Have it be a budget offering, but don't include these big AAA games on it day one. I think what they should do is be clear and transparent. These games come 6 months after their launch date to Game Pass.
Are you live?
Yes.
Sprinkler blew out, and we gotta get into the water.
Oh, okay. Give me just a second, guys. We got to go on a break real quick because they're gonna turn off our sprinklers. So give me just a second. Just a second. I'll be back.
That's in here.
Oh, baby, baby. Remember AC2 with Ezio so fine, leaping from rooftops, feeling divine. Assassins in Italy stealing the show, but now the series it's sinking so low. Hidden blade, sharp revenge in the air, but lately it's bloated, it just ain't fair. Whoa, whoa. Assassin's Creed, you broke my heart, you lost your speed. Back with Black Flag.
Okay, I'm back.
Sailing the sea. Pirate adventures wild and free.
Sorry, the water valve for shutting off the water to blow out our sprinklers is like right up there in the ceiling of this room, because this used to be an unfinished basement and now it's finished. So whenever they come to shut off the water or open the water valve, they have to go into that back room and like reach up through the ceiling. So yeah, to their credit, my window was from 1 to 5 and he showed up at 12:52. So props. Anyway, we're back. We're back. Anyway, so going back to this. Key takeaway is that if everything were going really, really well, they wouldn't need to transform it urgently. And they seemingly are hiring people specifically with the express goal of overhauling their finances and the financial reporting and strategies long term to find some sort of sustainability. I think that the way they do that is by trying not to be the everything platform, because while it's great and a good offering for consumers, it's not sustainable. And what inevitably happens is that then the smaller games end up subsidizing the release of the big games on the platform. So you end up with Call of Duty losing $300 million by going to Game Pass day one. And then all of the other smaller games are held to a higher standard because they have to basically subsidize that loss. Whereas I think the big AAA stuff, you just shouldn't put on the service. Make it, joke about it being quadruple A or whatever, and just don't put Call of Duty on Game Pass. But I think the problem is that they wanted to increase subscription numbers and they thought, oh, well, we'll just put Call of Duty on Game Pass. But it clearly did not work out. They lost $300 million on it. So that's an oopsie. So I think that there's ways that they can fix it. They also need to streamline the types of games, and this is the difference between me as a consumer and me as like a financial person for Microsoft. If I were in charge of Microsoft and my goal was to make Game Pass the most sustainable, profitable platform, honestly, there would not be small games like Pentiment getting greenlit. Outer Worlds would not be getting greenlit. Instead, everything would be gigantic survival games. Everything would be games with hundreds of hours of content, live service games. That's the only stuff that would get greenlit, because the whole goal is to get people to sign up for Game Pass and not cancel their subscription. But part of Phil Spencer's pitch for Game Pass initially was, this allows us to greenlight smaller games that wouldn't get any sort of love before, because they wouldn't be sustainable or profitable in a typical environment. But I think the delusion, or maybe the realization later, was that they aren't sustainable under Game Pass either, because they don't really contribute to it. If you're a big fan of Hellblade 2, you can play that game literally in an afternoon. It's so short. And if you can play the game in an afternoon, why would somebody keep a subscription for 12 months? For 6 months? For 3 months? They wouldn't. They'll play the game they wanted to play, and then they'll cancel their membership. And that's what they've run into it. They had good intentions, basically. Well, they communicated good intentions. Whether or not that's what they thought the entire time, who knows? Because it's easy to say, this will let us have small games and greenlight them and support them in this way. It's easy to say that. That doesn't necessarily mean that that is actually what they were saying behind the scenes, or what the intention was. The impression I've gotten across the board from Microsoft in the last 5 years is that they are sort of flying by the seat of their pants. They're just experimenting and seeing what works and what doesn't. They even colloquially, apparently internally, were referring to Call of Duty going to Game Pass as an experiment. Like a $4 trillion company is experimenting with the release of the biggest game of the year and seeing what happens, because they're not sure. Like, that's crazy to me, but that's how they've been operating, is just see what happens. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And it just has not gone well. So again, and it's why I think I'm more cynical on the future of Game Pass than a lot of people, but I think the only way to dig themselves out of this hole that they've created by experimenting with a lot of this stuff and losing tons of money is that they're going to now focus primarily on live service stuff, on games that have massive amounts of playtime, so you stay subscribed perpetually. And I think that they are going to continue to raise prices and try to find ways to increase margins that way. I think they're also going to cancel and shut down a lot of studios and games that do not fit with that vision. So smaller 5 to 10 hour experiences, South of Midnight style games don't get much love anymore. I don't think they're going to care too much about chasing Metacritic scores at all, which they haven't really been doing anyways. But I think it's all going to be about sustained player bases, games like Fallout 76. That's where the effort's going to go. Is that what I'm excited with? No, I don't think that that's good. I think a lot of great games are going to get canceled or never made, but I think that that's what they're going to do. Yeah, I just don't think so. I don't think it's going to end up well. That's why the file size is 700. Well, dude, yeah, it's sort of like a gaming conspiracy theory that the reason Call of Duty is so big is so that it takes up all of your SSD space, and you literally can't install other games. Like, even if you wanted to, you couldn't. Which is kind of brilliant, if that is what they're doing. It's kind of brilliant. Eclipse, thank you. Hi, Luke. I live in the UK. Recently done my big end of year school exam, or end of school. I'll let it read
Super
it.
Chat. Hi, Luke. I live in the UK and I've recently done my big end of school exams and got the best grade in business.
Hell yeah.
Just wanted to say thank you for making business interesting and inspiring me.
I'm glad, my friend. That means a lot. Thank you. And well done on your exams. That's tremendous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to have you. And I'm glad I could make it interesting and fun. It doesn't have to be boring. It certainly can be, but it doesn't have to be. It's very interesting. It's like a puzzle or even a game you're constantly trying to figure out, you know? But let's see, I saw one comment that I thought, Christopher says Game Pass needs to have an amazing quality games for full success. I don't think that that's unfortunately true. If you have a 10 out of 10 on Game Pass, like let's say Expedition 33, people play it and finish the game in like 40 hours. 40 hours. 30, 40 hours maybe. I don't know what the average play time on the game is, but let's say 40 hours. That maybe took them like a few weeks, a month. Microsoft wants you subscribed year round. So you can have an amazing game, but most people are not going to play the game over and over and over and over and over again. Again, their business model only works if you're subscribed 12 months out of the year. And by, even when you're not playing a lot of games, you're still putting the money in. So for them, like, they need massive games that take you months to finish, or that you replay multiple times, or they need games that maybe are shorter, but that generate extra revenue through microtransactions, through Fallout First, through paid mods and stuff like that. That's what they want. That's how they make profit. And they just aren't quite there yet. So I don't know. But I clearly things are changing, and I don't think they're changing for the better. So, Jeez, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You super chatted right as I was, right as I went on the BRB screen. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the 10. Hey, Luke, I'd like to think that in order to stimulate Giggity, the games industry now, is if they would have brought back renting, but to the digital space, say 10, 20 bucks for 3 days. Thoughts, ideas? Oh, like what if they literally let you rent a game for like 10 bucks? You get 3 days with it. It's interesting. I mean, Amazon, I think, does that where you can rent movies on Amazon for like $2 or $3 and you get it for 24 hours or something. They could certainly experiment with that. They could certainly experiment with it. I think you could do it on consoles. I think on PC they'd have fear over like data miners or things like that. But I mean, I don't see why they couldn't experiment with it. Maybe there's an opportunity there. It's not a bad idea. Digital blockbuster. Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you treat it like a demo, it's like, hey, you pay $5, you can try the game for a day or 2 days or whatever it is. Maybe it's even hour based. Maybe it's like you can play the game for 2 hours or 3 hours. And if you like it, you can buy the game outright and we discount it by the amount you already paid. Or you can just return it and not have to pay any more. It's possible. It's called a demo. Yeah, a demo that they get money for. That's why they would like it. It's basically what Steam does with the 2-hour window for returns. Which of course is ideal because you do put all of the money up, but if you don't like the game, you get all of the money back. PlayStation does have for some games trials, which is just kind of a glorified demo. It's a similar thing to what Steam does. Xbox, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I don't think they have anything. Not that I can think of. I mean, Game Pass, obviously, but I don't think they have any sort of trial demo system built up except for dedicated demos. So I don't know, it's not the most crazy idea. I could totally see them experimenting with it. I don't know if it's something that would actually move the bottom line. I could see people, pretty much immediately complaining about it. Because like Steam lets me do this and I get all my money back if I don't like it. But there's a way that they could frame it as renting games. Try it. But maybe they've investigated. Maybe they've done research on it. I don't know. Let's see. I wanted to touch on this too real quick. New mini segment thing. So yesterday, viral tweets started going around. There was the Reddit subreddit, or the subreddit for Xbox that... Let me try this again. Try it again. So yesterday, a couple of tweets started to go viral on X, and they were actually kickstarted by a post to the Xbox subreddit, where somebody posted this. My local Target is getting rid of their entire Xbox section. The electronics manager says they will no longer carry systems, games, or accessories. He also said all Targets in Kansas City area are purging their Xbox stock as well. Dun, dun, dun. And this started going around because people were like, oh my God, it's happening. Oh my God, it's happening. And funnily enough, there are a couple of interesting little tidbits. So like Destin, friend of the channel, said that he called his local Target to ask if they were pulling or discontinuing Xbox stock. The person working there told him, there's quote, there's nothing in our system showing anything being discontinued, but we also haven't had a shipment in about a week. It says we have the next one on October 19th, but just for one, presumably console. Nothing is saying discontinued. So they're only going to order one. There's also a post from this one, this gamer article that uses a picture that isn't the original picture shared on the subreddit, and their community noting it, saying that this picture is from 2023, which is true, but that's not the picture that was in the original like Reddit post. But basically, it seems like at least some stores are choosing to remove the Xbox demo areas or shelving units, and they're replacing them with something else. So there's that. An article was then written by the one and only Michael Hogland with contributions from Jez Corden, published 15 hours ago, clarifying no, Target and Walmart are not removing Xbox products from their stores as Xbox misinformation reaches new levels. And basically what happens is you can see we also spoke to a Target employee on our end that also discredited claims of a wider Xbox removal. Sure enough, everything was there except for the consoles themselves. And they kind of continue on. But basically, what they did is they investigated by also calling stores, by contacting Xbox, by contacting everybody involved with it. And they have said, as you can see, Target and Walmart, among other retailers, remain committed partners for Xbox consoles, accessories, and games. And so they're like, no, it's not being discontinued across the board. Maybe some stores are removing it, but that's maybe a store-by-store decision. Maybe they're renovating. Maybe they have to get new shelving installed. Who knows why they're getting rid of it, but maybe it's some stores. It's not like a company-wide thing to remove Xbox sections. But I think all this kind of is missing the forest for the trees. The fact that, for one, this is so believable is already bad, because if you heard that, hey, they're removing the PlayStation section in these stores, you'd be stunned. You'd be like, what? That doesn't make any damn sense. But for Xbox, everybody's like, yep, totally see that coming. Because the brand perception right now, the brand reputation is abysmal. It's abysmal. They also did it at Costco, you're right, and it's verified at Costco. You can no longer buy an Xbox through Costco. They don't want to stock it for one reason or another. Maybe they think they just can't sell through the inventory. Maybe the inventory moves too slowly. Maybe the discount they're getting and their margins on it so low that they don't want to bother with it. Whatever the reason may be, Costco stopped selling it. So it's believable. It's believable. Also, it feels like the defense has not been that compelling. So, you know, these posts are being shown. Some employees are saying, hey, stuff is being removed. Others are saying, no, it's not being removed. Or we're not discontinuing it. We're just only getting one unit every few weeks or every couple of weeks. You know, like it's not that compelling. It's like, yeah, it's not discontinued. We just get basically no inventory and it just sits collecting dust. It's like, okay, still not great, you know, not great. But again, just the fact that this is so believable, I think sends a stronger message than if an individual story happened to be accurate. Because the fact that the broader gaming community, and even on the Xbox subreddit, this post is getting thousands of upvotes and everything, I think it signals that the current state of morale is not great. Microsoft has disputed this, reported first on Windows Central. Microsoft has provided forcefully on the weekend again the following: Target and Walmart, among other retailers, remain committed partners for Xbox consoles, accessories, and games. And it's just, again, if you have to come out and say this, you're already losing the battle. So I'm glad they corrected it, and they're saying, no, it's not being discontinued and dropping support across the board. But it's just, again, it's a reflection of the current state of the brand, which has been managed very poorly. I think Phil means well. I think Phil's hand is being forced in large part by Satya Nadella and by Amy Wood. I think it's Amy Wood. the CFO of Microsoft. I think he is doing whatever he's been commanded to do from on high in the executive suite. They're forcing increased margins and layoffs. I don't think I don't think any of that stuff is his idea necessarily, especially when you listen to interviews from Mrs. Wood and some of the stuff that she describes as CFO of Microsoft. It seems like there are commands coming from on high that they need to get this done. And frankly, if Phil doesn't do the layoffs, if Phil doesn't do the price hikes, if Phil doesn't do this and that, they'll just fire him and they'll put Sarah Bond in his place. And she is, as far as I can tell, the quintessential corporate executive, and she will do exactly what they ask of her. So Phil's hand is kind of forced. And then we end up where we are now, where I think a lot of responsibility lies on Phil's lap is in the horrendous communication that's happened with the Xbox side of things. There is so much misinformation that goes around constantly, Exhibit A. There's so much lack of clarity, and people still don't know clear details on like, so is there going to be a next gen of Xbox hardware? Oh, there is. Okay, that's surprising. Are you going to be including Call of Duty in Game Pass for years to come, or just this year? Was that an experiment or was it not? Like, there's just no clear vision for Microsoft's version of Xbox, and there hasn't been for a very, very long time. And that's a problem. I feel like back in 2020, people understood the pitch of Game Pass as it was described and portrayed, that it was like old school Netflix. Nowadays, it feels like Xbox is actively experimenting with everything they do, and they don't know exactly where to go or how to do things. And that's why, like, internally, allegedly, they were describing the Call of Duty inclusion on Game Pass as the Call of Duty experiment, that they were trying to see if this would work. And they were just like, let's see. And then it lost $300 million. And it's that kind of vibe that they're just trying stuff that I think reinforces the sentiment that Xbox is just kind of fledgling and floundering, which is why a story like this can go viral and is perceived as very, very believable. It's a problem. And I mean, you can see people already giving up, and well, we had a blast these last few generations. I'm going to miss Xbox. This is somebody who's a top 1% commenter on the Xbox subreddit, r/Xbox, top 1% commenter. And it's already like, well, it's dead. When your community morale is that low, you're losing. You got to get it under control. I mean, again, this is a $4 trillion company that has spent tens upon tens upon tens of billions of dollars on acquisitions, on overhauls, on games and releases, and morale is this low. Clearly there's a problem. Clearly. And I feel like the sort of gaslighting, no, everything's fine, everything's great, is not helping the issue either. It just isn't. It just isn't. And so there's clearly a messaging problem within Xbox, and they got to get it together. Netflix navigated it. They went through a period where everybody thought Netflix was going to die because they were having to cut shows and cancel shows and overhaul budgets and stuff to make it profitable again, when they were just throwing money at productions and licensing deals. And they were able to get over it and, find a balance, and they got out of it. And now Netflix is doing just fine. And I think Xbox could get there, but they've got to quell the concerns of their fan base, because Netflix is a different animal than Xbox Game Pass. Game Pass relies a lot more on like brand loyalty. It relies a lot more on reputation of the publisher and the studios, and therefore the games. Whereas Netflix, a lot of it was just like, oh, did you see K-pop Demon Hunters? It's really good. Oh yeah, I'll boot that up tonight. Like it's much less dependent on the reputation of the studios or the publisher or publishing house. It relies more on word of mouth. And so I think that Xbox has just got to get it together. Whoever's in charge of messaging needs to be replaced, because there's so much confusion. There's such a lack of clarity. It's frankly hilarious, but here we are. Yeah, it's funny how some YouTubers fell for it without doing a little research, but I get Xbox is not a good place, so it's easy for clicks. Yeah, I mean, they see it passes the vibe check and they run with it. And I think that, at least to me, the fact that it passes the vibe check of like, yeah, I totally would believe that, It's very believable, and that's what's really sad. Is that, again, for other companies or other competitors in the space, it would not be believable at all. But for Xbox, where they are right now, it is considered believable that they would be like cut out of Walmart and Target, which is crazy, but it's believable. And that's what's really sad. Wilfredo, thank you for the 5. What do you think that are the conversations that go on between Phil, Sarah, Pete, and the rest of the leadership team right now? I mean, we got some of the emails that leaked during the FTC stuff where Phil was basically yelling at them through email about needing to hit the deadlines and targets that they set. It's like, we cannot have an entire year without releases. This is insane. If you tell me you're hitting this release window, you need to actually hit that release window. You can't miss it by a year or two. Or if we do hit the release window, it launches horribly like Redfall. We cannot do that. So I'm sure he's like pushing for profitability. He's pushing for release windows and a more steady stream of releases. But even having said that, like they front loaded this or like earlier this year, which now I think makes sense. Let me show you why. Let me show you why. Because I was trying to think about this. Do you remember how earlier this year was weirdly loaded with Game Pass games? Like out of nowhere, they launched in a very tight window. They launched, they had Expedition 33 on it, which was tremendously successful. And I'm sure it did numbers on Game Pass as well. But they also had games like Doom. They had games like South of Midnight. They had the Oblivion remake remaster, which ended up being one of the biggest games of the year. And all of those games were launched kind of frantically before June or the end of June. And I thought it was weird because I was like, why aren't they staggering these games? Like, why are they releasing them all right now? And why aren't they like waiting until August, September, October to have some more releases? Some people think GTA 6. Oh, Blueprints. Yeah, Blueprints as well. I think it's very, very simple. What's Microsoft's fiscal year? It runs from July 1st to June 30th. Their fiscal year ends June 30th. What do we know now? Call of Duty launching on Game Pass earlier in the fiscal year, so late last year, lost them $300 million. They needed to balance that out and increase the numbers as best they could to try and make it save face and look like less of a disaster compared to what it actually was. So they desperately shoved out everything they had at the very end of the fiscal year to make the numbers look better, to probably try and defend themselves when they had to report it to Satya and Amy Hood and everybody else. And be like, see, it wasn't actually that bad because we had these really successful games at the later end of the year, so Call of Duty's failure wasn't that bad. Please don't be angry. And now it means that they basically have nothing else for the rest of this year. And it seems like Satya and Amy Hood saw right through it and still demanded price hikes and everything else. So I think the rush of releases in the late spring of this year was specifically to try and counter the Call of Duty losses that they realized probably earlier this year were happening. So they just shoved everything out to try and increase the numbers where they could and make it look less and less terrible. I don't think it clearly worked. But I think that was their attempt to try and avoid what has happened. So otherwise, I think they would have had a very steady pace of releases. Maybe every like 45 days, they have a new Game Pass release, but instead they just tried to shove everything out early in the year. Lord Arby, think of the 5. Did you see the Reddit post about UESP being excited for the Elder Scrolls 6? Bit excited now. I did not. I'll have to look that up. I did not. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I think is happening with them. That's, I think, the reason that they handled it that way. But again, just the fact that there's so much miscommunication right now that something like this is considered very believable. All of that reflects a brand that is currently in serious trouble. In serious trouble because people are giving up on it. And here's the deal. Here's the other deal. Part of the strategy, I think, with increasing the price of these consoles, I think part of the idea was that when GTA 6 launches and we have the rush of people going into brick and mortar stores, because a lot of the more casual gamers and consumers will do it that way. They'll go in and actually purchase the consoles in person. They're going to go in. And the idea was that if PlayStations are sold out, or if they haven't had a console since the 360 era or the Xbox One era, they will go into the store and see Xboxes on the shelves and buy one of those for $500, $600, $700, $800 and be like, oh yeah, I used to play on Xbox, I'll get one of those. Because there will be a lot of people getting back into gaming who have not gamed in a while, who like graduated high school and went into the workforce for 10 years, and now they're going to get back in with GTA 6. It's like a huge component and part of the projections. But that doesn't work if you don't have consoles stocked in stores because nobody wants to sell them because nobody's buying them. You know, it just doesn't work. And so I just think that there's so many assumptions being made by the executive suite that things will just continue to be fine or good enough until they're not. And then it's all going to crash and burn. So the next year is going to be very interesting. But again, it's just really sad. One thing after another, Microsoft is forced to respond time and time again to ongoing rumors it's leaving the hardware space. Well, they've done very little to comfort people and make them think that this is a platform they should commit to, because the constant instability and layoffs, the cancellation of things, the lack of clear, cohesive vision for the future of the console space. It's just, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get. Let's see. They were planning on their competition being sold out. I mean, I think that was a component of it. I really do. They would be the solid alternative if you couldn't find a PlayStation. But here we are. Prediction, there will be no next-gen Xbox console. No evidence in their actions suggests there will be. Well, there was this report from VGC. So we have information about the next-gen alleged processor, and it suggests a PC console hybrid. Moore's Law is Dead, who has a lot of very accurate posts on like AMD leaks and stuff. Very high-level technical stuff, as you can see. Like they have like... I couldn't even begin to explain what I'm looking at here. But in broad strokes, what is being described is that the AMD Magnus APU, an APU combines CPU and GPU on a single chip, will be the largest one ever used in a games console, according to the YouTuber, who claims it will be 46% larger than the one allegedly planned for the PlayStation 6. The report claims that as a result of this, the next Xbox is likely to be more powerful than the PS6, but will naturally cost more money as a consequence of this. The reason for this is, according to MLID, is that as per previous speculation, Microsoft is reportedly positioning the next Xbox console to be a hybrid system capable of not only playing games on the Xbox Store, but also PC games on other stores. Quote, it should be stronger than the PlayStation 6, but at the same time, it will also be more expensive because of the larger size and its use of bridge dies, and likely a larger RAM capacity compared to the PlayStation 6, at least if it wants to work as well as a PC console hybrid. It doesn't know the clock speeds of it. However, even in extreme scenarios, I don't think it'll be more than about a third faster than the PlayStation 6 console. Let's see. Don't forget, even in an extreme situation, the next gen Xbox, though probably faster, is probably less of a difference than even Xbox One X to PS4 Pro. So most true console gamers probably won't care if they're gaming on a big screen or on a couch. On average, I do expect Xbox Magnus to basically be a more premium version of the same performance that you would get from the PlayStation 6. For example, if a PlayStation 6 game was running at 4K 120 with ray tracing on, and of course it would also have FSR4 or something to get there, I would suspect the Magnus would, instead of doing 4K 120, do like 4K 144. like it could do 20% higher frame rates, which doesn't matter on a big screen TV really, but does matter if you're gaming on a monitor on your desk, which Magnus will be more meant for than the PlayStation. So this apparently is their vision for the next gen. Maybe it's just part of the vision. Maybe they will also have a bunch of other stuff going on, but this is probably like $1,000 console. And it's sort of meant to be a hybrid between your PC on your desk and the console on your media center. And it will play Steam games and everything else, which is cool. That's genuinely cool. Honestly, I was just looking at a party game earlier today, and I thought, oh, that looks really cool, but it's a Steam game. And so I was like, oh, this is a game I'd want to play on the couch with friends because it's like a couch co-op game. And I don't know how I would do that. I could lug a PC up there, or I could do the Steam Link thing, but that doesn't work super great. So it was a roadblock. But having something like this, where I could just play a Steam game on a box that gives the console convenience, but with Steam, that's cool. And so I think that could find some success, but it would not be your standard Xbox experience. And I think that's the key. Like, that's the key to understand. PlayStation's next generation, I think, will feel very much like this generation. It will be the big new box with a new controller design. You plug it in, you get the experience, new UI, good to go. The next Xbox, though, I think is going to feel kind of weird. It's going to be a mix of a bunch of different things. It's not going to feel totally like a console. It won't feel totally like a PC. It's just going to be kind of weird. So... Yeah. Which will I buy? I mean, because of what I do, I kind of buy everything. I will say, if it's primarily, like at this point, I have a Series S somewhere. The fact I don't know where I put it is kind of telling, because you can tell I use it a lot. And then my Series X upstairs that's plugged into my big projector, I could not tell you the last time I booted it up, because there's just no reason. If you play games that are on everything, if I play an Xbox game, I'll play it on PC because it's also on PC and it runs better. But I have reason to play on PlayStation, so I played like my PlayStation last night with some Ghost of Yotei. Could not tell you the last time I booted up an Xbox. So it's not that I hate Xbox or anything. I just literally have no reason to play it if I have a PC. So if this next console is a hybrid of an Xbox and a PC, I'll just keep my PC. Like the one use case, though, like I said, where I could see using it is in the case where I can like play Steam games seamlessly on my TV, which is funny that I'd be relying on like an Xbox product to get the Steam experience on that. But if Steam doesn't make it, what else am I going to do? If Steam made like a little box that's like the Steam console and it's just a pretty decently powerful PC, but plugged into your TV and it gives you the Steam whatever loadout, that would be really cool. I know I could build my own PC and do it. I might do that. But yeah, other than that, I think I wouldn't have much use for it. Yeah. PS5 on the main TV? Yeah. I'm not joking. I think in this house I have... I have like 4 or 5 PlayStation 5s throughout the house. I'm spoiled. Basically one for each TV, and it's a problem. It's a problem. Not enough. Yeah. You got an OLED, Luke? Yeah, all my gaming monitors are OLED, and then the TV upstairs is an OLED. It's older though. It's an old Sony OLED from like 2018. Works great. Love it dearly. But the software is starting to struggle. Ooh. Sony TVs, if you have ever had one, you know the software experience is not great. Now imagine it's like 7 years old. It struggles. You turn it on, you're like, okay, go to the YouTube app, and it takes like a solid 10 seconds. It's rough. Image is great. The TV is great, but software-wise, it struggles. I think Valve will make a hybrid before Sony and Microsoft. I mean, they sort of did with the Steam Deck. I think that their efforts will be put towards a sequel to the Steam Deck first, which I'd be okay with, because if they make a more powerful Steam Deck, I'm there for it. But okay. Well, everybody, I think I need to call it there. I'm gonna go check on the wife and the kiddos, make sure they finish the sprinkler blowout and everything. Normally I would stream for longer, but I've got to do a little Star Citizen thing right after this. So I'll call it there. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and being so wonderful and fantastic. I'll be back on Wednesday with the podcast with Jor. We'll have more to talk about. It's going to be awesome. More reactions and stuff. But we'll call it there just to be... Actually, will I be here Wednesday? I might not be here Wednesday. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know. I'm figuring it out. Okay. Much love. I'll see you guys soon. Hugs and kisses. Until next time. Miss you already.